Go! Had a poorly done timer there. What's up, everyone? Hi, Stuart.
Hi.
I haven't seen you in so long.
Right?
It's sort of anticlimactic though, because we see each other so
What's
often.
up, everyone?
It's just like
I know.
it's Stuart again, and then it's that English guy again. Oh.
Do we have to do this and talk to you again?
Well, they demand it though every week. They're just like, how are you not talking right now?
Yeah, they're banging at the gates usually. Got a few complaints already. Where's the captain and commander? Hello.
Hello. We're talking Star Trek. I don't like that song though.
Joseph Patrick puts in €2 and says, first super chat. Yes, indeed.
You crazy man. I'm slowly saving posters, but I think I finally found a site that'll cooperate.
Yeah.
So, Stuart, is the best Star Trek movie Galaxy Quest? Discuss.
That is the best. That's a better Star Trek remake than 2009. 2009 is more of a parody of Star Trek. More so than Galaxy Quest is.
Because you could probably say that Galaxy Quest was just either super in the future or just a weird parallel universe where the Federation didn't exist yet. Or wouldn't it be funny if
it's the prequel to Orville?
Oh, it's a prequel. Wouldn't it be funny if the Star Galaxy Quest was the context of in Voyager? It gets convoluted. In Voyager, they went back in time to like the 1990s and got their holographic mobile emitter and stuff, but they had a shuttle and Henry Starling downloaded records, and those records went to a TV station. That TV station then made a show called Star Trek based on those records. In the year 2000s, the Thermians then looked at historical records and then did their technology, but because it's in the same timeline as Star Trek, that existed in the 2000s in another part of our
That's
galaxy.
what happened, though. Have you read the beginning of the technical manual?
I don't know.
All the information in the technical manual was downloaded from a top secret transmission that was sent to the U.S. government by mistake, and then Gene Roddenberry got his hands on it and made a TV show out of it. That's how the technical manual opens up, and that's a perfect way to think about it.
Wait,
Thomas Potts,
is it really?
$1.09. Yeah.
Ah.
I can get it and read it to you if you want.
No, it's okay, but cool.
Thomas Potts puts in $1.99.
Thanks,
Did
man.
you like what the director additions added to the motion picture? Yes, absolutely. I thought that was great.
I've seen a clip approach of what they did. I've got the DVD. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it. I definitely want to.
It's better.
Yeah, I like conceptually, and I knew that there was a whole new blowing the ship up subplot, but I never knew I knew it until I saw it as in a clip show. I was like, oh yeah, that was part of the movie, but it wasn't. So we just watched commentaries and stuff about it, and yeah. So
we didn't add that to the director's edition.
Yeah, and they're doing self-destruct isn't in the original cut. It's only in that cut. And the remastered
saucer separation.
No, the self-destruct inside Vija. So I haven't seen those in their fullness yet. But what are we talking about today, Stuart? Mr. Stewart.
We are talking about our favorite Star Trek movies. Which, for me, is all of them, because I love every one of them.
Even this one I have on screen?
Which should make tomorrow's very interesting.
What are we looking at tomorrow, Stuart?
Our least favorite Star Trek movies.
Because, yeah, it really is a pretty diverse set, really.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, guys, you decide which film we talk about first. Force us.
I don't know if tomorrow's is going to work, because we should just talk about each film individually, kind of go through them.
That's what you and Sylvia do. This is more just the best bits of the best movies. Because if we look at it more as a highlights of the best ones.
Commodore Jose Mendez puts in the best is the motion picture. Bird of Prey 5 puts in $2. It says Star Trek 4, best movie ever, and the stream. Gonna disagree with you there. Best general audience Star Trek movie ever, yes.
Well, it's kind of like City on the Edge of Forever, but more Trek. I'm assuming in your mind of like it's
it's the third act of a 3-act play, which are the Star Trek 2, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've said before, if I could watch any 3 Star Trek movies forever, it'd be those 3, because for me that's just one amazing movie, and I think Star Trek 3 gets way too much flack for being a bad movie when it's not. There's so much cool stuff in Star Trek 3.
Star Trek
Stealing the Enterprise. The Enterprise gets destroyed. You see new ships. You see you see the Oberth. You see the Excelsior. You see the Bird of Prey.
Well,
it's awesome.
The better question is, what's bad in Star Trek 3?
Nothing, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and like you say, it expanded the universe unlike any other film, and I think honestly the planet set did extremely well. Like it was, it was in a set. It was brilliant, and Krug is truly phenomenal. 3 has some awesome stuff.
Yeah. Richard Kennedy puts in £1.99 and says Star Trek 6 and First Contact are his faves. Those are good ones.
Problem with 6 for me, as I've said before, but it's superb until it really isn't, and I can fast forward and then it gets brilliant again. All the Repenthe stuff, just don't care. Whereas First Contact, the First Contact stuff is at least funnier and more creative. Repenthe is very one tone of Repenthe.
Yeah.
Like it does a good job establishing tone, but it's very like one tone. I know. What do you think? I say that all the time. What do you think about the Repenthe stuff? Is that you're on my side there, or are you very much it's superb?
That's not superb, but it's good. It's good enough to watch. I would never skip over anything in a Star Trek movie. But there is some editing errors in the one scene in particular on Repenthe.
Is that?
Oh yeah, McCoy is speaking, but it's a view from him on the side, and his mouth's not moving, and then they switch cameras again, and he's speaking. Just really piss poor editing. But yeah. Oh man, that being said, even Star Trek 5 doesn't really deserve the hate that it gets. I think people just, oh yeah, that's the bad one. That's Shatner. I hate that. Oh, it's awful. There's a lot of good things in Star Trek 5 too. I
think 5 has more bad bits than all the other Trek movies of the Prime stuff. Like it has more distinct problem zones, but it also has some really cool bits. Most of the other movies are either more averagey or more bettery, whereas like Insurrection there's less bad Insurrection, but there's less good Insurrection, so it's more average. 5 has some betters and some much worse. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because what are the low points?
I don't see a lot of bad though in 5. The low points in 5 for me is just the stupid turbo scene is annoying.
Well, what they did to Uhura's hair, the Enterprise being damaged again, the fact that all the crew are mismanaged and poorly used, betraying him that quickly, the entire middle, the bad CGI, there's lots of like just poor areas.
Entire middle. That covers a lot of ground. So
well, no, not like a literal middle, but like when the crew shouldn't have, he should have taken over the ship, not magicked them into following.
Yeah, but that goes back to like TOS, where they get magicked into a lot of things. Like Cat's Paw, where Scotty and Sulu are just, I know,
but as an adventure, like you didn't want to be Walter Koenig. Imagine reading DeForest read the script and Spock, Leonard read the script and then insisted it be changed because it wouldn't not what their characters would do. So the film showed a misunderstanding of the rest of the cast. Very TOS, but didn't correct the rest of the cast, whereas 4 just gave the cast something to do, so it was kind of weird to go from we love the cast to F the cast, we love R3. So the balance was like a really like, and then 6 gave everyone stuff to do again, so it was kind of a weird like, that's why it kind of stands out in contrast as well, I think. Like in 1, no one has anything to do. In 2, Sulu has Chekhov has stuff to do, so you kind of feel like they have stuff to do, but they don't really. Except Zulu. Chekhov.
Well, by far, Star Trek V is the worst out of the original series or the original crew movies. Except a lot of people will debate that and say Star Trek the motion picture is because it's boring, but Star Trek the motion picture introduced so many cool new things. And it's like a different Trek altogether because it's different uniforms and it's kind of like got its own vibe to it even after you go back and rewatch it. So I kind of like that.
And obviously the visual effects they stand up today. They're beautiful, and considering what they did and how they did them, it's amazing. It's a masterpiece in visual effects, and considering they got the last visual effect an hour before it was out, I believe they actually were inserting. The film was already playing its first reel when they put the VFX into the second reel, and then they put the second reel in as the first reel was showing. Like it was that down to the wire.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Victor Garza puts in $2. Worst a tie. Nemesis and Into Darkness. Best Wrath of Khan.
Well, why? See, we rewatched Nemesis together, and it was a good experience.
Yeah,
I felt.
Yeah, it's just kind of slow. That's all.
Well, again, the middle is not great. The start's good, the end's good. The middle doesn't quite work with the B4 stuff. They like bet on some wrong elements,
Yeah,
like Insurrection, it's a big medium, whereas Nemesis has some pretty cool. I mean, the CGI is great and some acting is good. It has some pretty lows as well. I also don't like all the stuff in the room and corridors. Kind of bugs me for some reason. So they're too big just because they fit the shuttle. It's like, no, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It's like every time I watch Orville, I love Orville to death, right? But whenever we see the inside of a Krill ship, it does not feel like a ship. It feels like just a bunch of walls slapped up. The Krill ships are awful in Orville. The outsides are cool. The insides are just not. They don't feel at all like a ship.
Yeah. Well, it is tricky.
Joseph Petrick puts in €2. Future Stream, favorite Star Trek soundtracks. Thoughts? It's a possibility.
They're all pretty good.
They are. They're fantastic.
They've all got different vibes, and I mean, even obviously you love the JoJo stuff. I think some of that stuff's pretty great. I found a poster for Into Darkness.
That's one of the best things about those movies is the soundtracks. The soundtrack for 2009 blew me away in the theater. I'm like, this is good Star Trek music. This is different, but it really gets me energized.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not necessarily Trek music in the same way, but it's like positive energy music,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it instills that Star Trek vibe after you've watched the movie, though. Every time you hear that beats from that soundtrack, you're like, you can picture the Enterprise, as ugly as it is, doing its thing. And just that opening, big epic Star Trek, the Delta. It's like, yeah. 500 rubles, the slow motion picture. From my experience, this was the best Star Trek movie for people that don't generally care about Star Trek or sci-fi.
Oh, wow.
I would say no.
That's pretty radical.
I would say Star Trek 4 takes that slot.
I would say it does completely.
Everyone can watch Star Trek 4, and they all know it's the whale one. Kids will sit down and watch it. People that don't like Star Trek will really get a kick out of it. People that love Star Trek get a kick out of it because it's so well done and because it's such good characters doing their thing. It's a good general pull people in kind of movie. Unlike 2009, which was made to be that for the general audience, just an action blow them up. Doesn't have the Star Trek feel to it really, as Star Trek 4 does.
The script's also really good in Star Trek 4. It's a really good script. We rewatched it and we listened to the Len Nimoy and William Shatner, and they were like, this script was really on point. And it apparently didn't even have many drafts. Like they just got it. They just got it right from the offset. Whereas 09's a pretty poor script.
I love all the names for Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the slow motion picture, the motionless picture, where Nomad had gone before.
Yeah,
because it is that script just made into movie form.
It is weird that could be made. It does feel weird that is obviously it was filled with confusion and trying to get made and not get made, but that is the story they would pick out of all the stories. It's not even like the Nomad one was the fan favorite that everyone clamored for a spiritual sequel.
Right?
You know what I mean? Obviously, that we got that with Wrath of Khan. I mean, if you had to pick another episode, that's actually kind of a good question. If you had to pick another episode in TOS to be a movie sequel, to get a movie sequel, what would that be? And you guys let us know what you think.
Maybe Doomsday Machine. Give you a chance to bring in Will.
Decker.
What's that?
Decker.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Will Decker, the son, having issues with Kirk against his dad, and also another Doomsday Machine or two crop up.
Yep.
On the edge of Federation space. That would be incredible, actually. So that would be a good one.
Maybe the Organian Treaty one, like the sequel to that. Like the Klingons found a way to secretly, like the cloaking devices are now so impervious to Organians that they can go through that and do bad things.
Well, the Organians disappeared for a while. That's why tensions with the Klingons spiked again, and then they came back. But yeah.
Or how about the Tholian web? Like the Tholians are now coming in and causing mayhem.
Or the Defiant reappears in Federation space, and the new refitted Enterprise has to go investigate the old Constitution class ship. Imagine seeing both of those on a big screen.
Oh, that would be very fan servicey, but I like that. But can you imagine seeing like motion picture, really detailed miniature Tholian ships?
Yeah.
Oof, that would be. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Spino Breaker puts in $2 Australian. Best Star Trek movie is Galaxy Quest.
Already made that joke.
Yep. Mirror says fake account. Fake account says Mirror would be a good one to do a sequel on.
Thing is, we already got. I mean, Into Mirror Darkly is a superb movie. You know. I don't know. Mirror is a tricky one because I don't know. I don't think it would work quite as well. Especially the tone would be very.
And would it start in the Mirror universe or our universe or?
Exactly.
You couldn't fit it into a movie length. I think that I like the way they did it in Discovery, where it's kind of a multi-episode arc, because you can really explore both sides of what's going on. I think a movie would feel very rushed and crammed in the Mirror universe.
Maybe if, like Mirror Spock, because he was a standout of that, he managed to get a ship across the Mirror universe divide into our universe, and he takes Spock's place, and he's actually been taking his place for a few weeks now, and then you get this weird plot of the Mirror universe trying to steal some really advanced something. They're stealing the Excelsior! What?
Let them. No.
I don't know.
No, so, I mean, I'd say mine in order of preference. Oh, what?
What about the go back to the Great Barrier? But again, that's like the last episode continues. A science team goes in to been investigating this for several months, and they've gone missing. The Enterprise has to go. The newest ship of the fleet, been refitted, has to go to discover them. And it turns out they've changed into something else. Again, it's just that's actually what Continues did, but I think that could be an interesting movie.
I think we're gonna have to change our topic for tomorrow to something else, because we're going to talk about the bad here. So I wanted to ask you a question of which do you prefer, Insurrection or Nemesis?
Huh.
It better be Nemesis. Better be Nemesis. For me, Insurrection feels like it's a bloated TNG episode, and not a good one. It's not the best episode. It's not the greatest premise, and to stretch it into a movie just felt it stretched it too thin, made it too weak. If anything, I'd say that's a worse movie than Star Trek V.
Yes, I know you've said that before. I disagree. Okay, the acting is good in Insurrection. I think the acting bar across the board is better.
Except for the babyface Riker. That's just stupidity.
I'm fine with that. Oh.
Dumb writing.
No, I'm fine with that. It's cute. I'm cute. It's fine. I'm cute. It's fine. He's cute. It's fine. I'm cute. No, I'm actually fine with that. Again, Nemesis has more wrong than Insurrection. It has more bad things, but Insurrection has less good things. Like the scimitar battle is very well done. the battle in the Briar Patches are fine, and now as a VFX artist, I see them for the shit they are. I mean, the lighting in the movie is absolute garbage. I've said this to you before. I know I have. I want to remake those VFX shots and do them better because I can do them better, and that's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for them. You know?
Well, they switched. That was a new company doing the visual effects for that one. So
it was the island was busy, and they just could only afford. Well, this company said they could do it, and they sort of did, but yeah, they didn't do it anyway. I mean, they got the gas cloud stuff great. I mean, the one thing you needed, they did great, but the lighting. I mean, we did that on a previous stream. Is awful. I like Insurrection. I got some good memories about Insurrection. I don't know why. I think I saw it in the cinema. I know I have some good emotional memories. I like a lot of the little bits. Has better little character moments than Nemesis.
Yeah, that's true.
And Nemesis misuses Worf and Troy, sort of Riker. Doesn't use Geordi. Data's plot I don't particularly like. Uses Picard very well, whereas Insurrection uses Worf well, Riker well, Troy fine. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As an ensemble cast, it's way better than Nemesis, but Nemesis has better. I mean, what is the chat saying? Are they trying? Are they crucifying me or on my side here? Because that's a really hard question, man.
I haven't really been paying attention to the chat, but there's two super chats I need to combine into one.
Okay.
They're both from Spinal Breaker.
Hey.
One's $2, one is $5, and
Thanks,
says an Enterprise era 3-part movie, Romulan War.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He says part 1 Trigger, part 2 would be the Federation losing, part 3 would be the end of the war with the destruction of the NX Enterprise.
Yeah. Good sell.
I wouldn't be on board for that. Victor Garcia puts in $2. The old Star Trek DC comics did a great Mirror Universe arc. Yeah, there are a few great Mirror Universe arcs in the comics. Even the new IDW Broken Mirror, I think.
Yeah.
It's cool to see the TNG cast in the Mirror Universe.
And it's sad because I listened to the William Shatner when they have the Mirror Universe and just really creative, really fun stuff. I wish there's so many good stories. Because always said what TOS episode to make a new movie of. Like, there's so many better stories, but it's like, when do you start? Like I said to you this earlier today, I would love to have an unlimited cast and just make some Star Trek stories. You know, all on green screen. We've got the team, we've got the people, just the actors and the costumes, and I could write some really cool stuff. I'd love to. It'd be really fun.
Yeah. Will Serby puts in £5 and says,
you.
For me, Generations is one of my favorites simply because I like the Enterprise B and the landing of the Enterprise D saucer. That's a cool scene. It is. I mean, there's a lot about Generations I like too, and I think I'm kind of in the minority there. A lot of people hate Generations so much. I loved seeing Kirk and the original crew. Well, some of the original crew back in their uniforms, the Maroons. Seeing the launch of the Enterprise B was fantastic. The interaction between Pike and Kirk. I didn't like some of the Nexus stuff. Sorry, Picard and Kirk. I didn't like some of the... My brain's in discovery mode.
Yes, it is.
Some of the Nexus stuff was stupid. Same with the Guinan thing. But overall, Generations, seeing the new decked out Enterprise D bridge was really cool. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Too much. See, for me, I'd rather watch Insurrection than Generations any day of the week.
Oh, I totally disagree. Disagree.
Generations.
No, I'm not even going to talk to you.
Generations.
You're not even my partner anymore. That's it. I'm done.
Okay, so Generations. Well, you know, I love Stuart, but you know, to value Generations over Insurrection, I find that's a terrible thing. Terrible.
I forgot. I'm like contractually obliged to come back.
Okay, so the problem with Generations, I skip the boat bit instantly. Do not care. It's a waste of money. Skip. Then it's interesting for a while. Then we get to the Kirk stuff's good. Great. Kirk's intro's good. The boat's a waste of money. The space station stuff's great because it's them like being professional and doing their job.
The boat was a nice tie into the original Enterprise.
But
like
that money could have been
schooner.
spent anywhere else. That was a really expensive bit for a really poor payoff. Because at least the wedding, it's a similar thing. The wedding in Nemesis, they reuse a lot of costumes, a lot of set pieces, and just build a gazebo, as opposed to.
And they had to pay Will Wheaton to come back.
Good.
and sit in a chair.
It did, and have deleted scenes out of the wazoo. Yeah, but the Generations just out of all the ways you'd write for Kirk and Picard to me, it was awful. That was your one chance in the universe, and anything would have been better. And yeah, the Nexus stuff, in theory, is awesome, and the Kirk Nexus stuff is better than Picard's.
It's way better in the book too. In the
Yeah.
novel, it's fantastic. The Nexus stuff.
I love the Kirk with the chopping wood, but I hate the house the second half of the house and the riding.
Yeah.
They should have stopped earlier and they haven't. So there's like some really strong bits, but they're just TNG bits and some just piss poor bits in Generations.
I hated how Kirk was chopping wood, and that's all. Like he just got here kind of thing. That's what all he's been doing. Whereas in the book, he went back and everyone that died under his command, he fixed all those scenarios. Like that's awesome. We should probably catch up on a few super chats real quick.
Awesome.
What do you think of Insurrection? Yeah, absolutely. Siler Steve says, what do you think of Insurrection? We've kind of been talking about that. I think it's just a bloated TNG episode.
But still better than Generations has just some god-awful bits.
No.
See, Generations is like Discovery. No. Wasted opportunity, missed opportunity, the movie. Insurrection is just, but some cool stuff. Some general stuff. Like the cloak stuff's great. The Baku Village is great. The cloaking stuff's great. The sonar ships I like for what they are. The ending's good. You know,
there's a lot of cool stuff in Generations too, though. Like seeing the Enterprise B and the Maroons again. That was fantastic.
Same with Nemesis. It's got stronger good, but much worse.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just annoying because I want to see really good Kirk. Because that's the thing. You know, they said we're going to kill Kirk. Are you in or not, Shatner? He's like, I guess I'm in. It wasn't about the script. It wasn't about the story. It was about, are you going to come and play him or not? And that's a shame, you know.
Yeah. Thomas Potts puts in $4.99. I wish they made a movie with TNG, DS9, Voyager cast all in it. Yeah. The other crews did need their movies, I think.
They would have printed money. Because Nemesis, you can see some of the actors are getting old. Like they are. That was the end of the road. They should just instantly said, okay, we'll make a smaller budget, because they would have charged less, I'm sure. The Voyager crew or the DS9 crew. Okay, there's a huge DS9 crew, but you know, would have been the same rough cost for seven more cast members. But then again, DS9 got an ending. You didn't need an ending. Endgame was a movie in and of itself. Like they did get their own movies. You know, Sacrifice of Angel is a movie epic in terms of battle. So, like, what would you have done? Another DS9 story after the epic conclusion without Ben Sisko? Would you have brought him back and then make the end redundant? And then Voyager, would you have got them? What would happen after you got them home? Well, then it redundants that ending. Like, you know what I mean? Although both those shows were off the air. Yeah, Enterprise was the only one on the air. So I don't know. That's a hard thing. Or would you have told like a random story inside the show? Like, we know the ending of the story, but let's go back to an epic tale you never could see. What do you think?
That's probably a better way to do it, to be honest.
Or just have a general Alpha Quadrant story, and members of all three of the crews that are important have to come together, because it's not so much a Voyager movie, it's a Trek movie. You know, Admiral Janeway's in it, and Captain Worf, and you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe that would be better too. It's hard to say. It depends how they did it. I mean, it could flop. It could be amazing, depending.
Just kind of Joseph the story, really.
Yeah. Exactly. Joseph Petrick puts in €2. Definitely feeling aggressive tendencies, sir. Yes.
Fun. Definitely funnier than Generations. Definitely funnier.
Gmon78 puts in £5. For me, Generations was the last time we saw the characters from TNG. After that, the actors just played themselves. Troy was from London suddenly. Yeah, I'm going to agree with that too. And they tried to make Picard into an action hero every time. It's like, stop, guys. That's not who this character is. But whatever.
I think I agree to some. Troy certainly. But what does she have to do in those 3 movies? Not a lot, you know?
Well, she's as useful in the movies as she was in the show, so...
Yes. I was rewatching some clips from First Contact to try and find some stills for this. And that movie is beautifully shot. Like, better than the other two for some reason. They put a lot of effort into it. First Contact, and it looks and feels the best. I think the characters are, for the most part, themselves.
For First Contact, you
Yeah.
said? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that one's probably. I think the other ones, they're, I mean, especially Insurrection, they're being changed by the radiation, and Nemesis is all about these two leads. It's not about anyone else. So, Worf is not being Worf, and because it doesn't matter, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah. Fat Produce puts in $2. I enjoyed Generation score by Dennis McCarthy. Yeah. Fantastic score.
And a nice comment, Laura Hillard. Hi, Commander Coggins, big fan here. Do you have an Instagram? Hi, Laura. I don't, but I have a Facebook. Not that I add fans, but you can follow it. That's a thing people can do. Thanks.
We have another 500 ruble super chat.
Thank you.
Star Trek, I think that's 4, is a very... I don't do Roman numerals well, sorry. Star Trek 4 is a very good movie, but you can call it Star Trek 3 Part 2. Yeah, and even Star Trek 2 Part 3. TMP is good as standalone sci-fi movie with Star Trek spirit, reintroduction of the crew, reintroduction of the Enterprise with a V'ger twist.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, no kidding, eh?
But I do think that TMP would have been stronger, although it is the entire end, if the Leah and Decker, if their screen time was given to, like, Chekhov, Uhura, and Scotty, and then not to the same ending.
Well,
because that was all. That's so much time was given to them.
The reason they used them was because they were going to be in phase 2. They're going to be new characters, right? So they wanted to kind of get that out there. And...
I know, but we didn't know that at the time.
No, we didn't. No, I agree.
Sulu literally, we watched it, gets like 4 lines the entire thing. It's really sad, isn't it?
And a lot of...
Yeah. Here's the most stare shots. But you know what I mean? Like, if that had been Scotty doing, Captain, you don't know the Enterprise, you can't fire the torpedoes, Captain! Tied into the... And then Sulu saying, Captain, my vow of celibacy is on record. And then he's like, oh my.
Oh my. Yeah. Metallic Fan 1442 puts in £2.
Ooh.
I'd love to see an animated version of the Shatnerverse.
Yes.
I'd love to see any version of the Shatnerverse.
Oh.
Although, let's be fair, let's call it the Judith and Garfield Reeve Stevens verse with Shatner's name on it. Come on, guys. I guess Shatner's more of the idea man there, if anything.
I mean, he probably had the direction, the tone, and he probably got final say, but he wouldn't know all the character interaction stuff. I would love to know what he had exactly to do with that. I know that he said that he based a lot of it on his life as it was, his getting remarried, his relationship with his kids. So that is very personal. The first one especially, that's all character stuff. So I think that first one was very much him, and then the rebirth bit, and then that's, I think, they expounded. So I can see the first one being him.
I'm sure he came up with the framework and the ideas, and they just filled in the blanks and wrote it and made it epic.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed
those. That's one series of novels I've read all the way through.
Yeah.
Other ones I've got them all. I just read 1 or 2 or whatever, but I just need to spend more time reading, which is hard.
I was impressed by those, and I wasn't expecting to be, and that's weird.
Yeah,
but in a good way.
Yeah. Fat Produce puts in $5.
Thank you.
I haven't watched Nemesis in 15 years and no plans to watch it anytime soon or ever again. The director would take canon input from the cast.
Yeah.
Who directed Nemesis?
Who cares? I think he was an editor before that.
Who cares?
Well, no, seriously, who cares? He wasn't a good fit for that movie. And Frakes said, it's funny, Frakes regret. He said he either turned down or he was sort of offered, but he turned it down. He said this recently because he didn't want to be...
Stuart Baird.
Oh, yeah. He didn't want to be typecast as the director of Star Trek, but he regretted not doing it because he knew he would have brought more to it.
Yeah, he's an English film editor. That explains it, the English part. Producer and director who is mainly associated with action films. He has edited over 20 major motion pictures. Edited.
Well,
don't direct something, you dumb.
To be fair, the editing was good.
But he didn't edit it, he directed it.
No, we edited it. Like, he was there in the edit room as well. Like, he would have been even more hands-on as an editor. Yeah, he was a wrong director. Like, it's not a bad directed movie. It just really doesn't have that same Trek spirit. And if Jonathan was the director, hopefully he could have said to Patrick, we're not building you the Argo. Okay? Good.
I want it. I want it.
Patrick, you already get most of the movie. You don't get a buggy chase as well. I get that. Come on, me, Michael. You'll be at the back and hit your nuts on the rails every other minute because it's so uncomfortable and not designed for you. No, Nemesis I think is underappreciated, but it's such an anticlimactic. Even though you get the wedding, and out of all the endings, it's actually more of an ending than the other two because they do move on. The crew does progress. It's such if they'd known that was the last one, they would have done it slightly differently. But they thought they were getting another. That was part of the mental process.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's sad actually.
Yeah.
Oh man. Joseph Petrick puts in €2 and says, "I kiss you and you say yuck."
Thank you. It's funny. Although obviously she does kiss the bearded him like 5 times, and you would remember that, but she didn't remember that.
Well, yeah, that's one thing that bothers me about that too. But Star Trek 9, or sorry, Matthew DeFreitas puts in $2. Star Trek 9, thumbs down. Enterprise can't easily beat the Sona, really. Yeah, I know. But they're using metaphasic weapons or something. They're outlawed by the Federation, don't you know? That's why. Kev M. Scotland puts in £2. Patrick Stewart said Nemesis deserved an extended cut. Yeah, I think it would have probably benefited from that. I can see them, even just a re-edit of it would be probably work well. I really enjoyed the end. The battle was epic. I'm a ship guy, so I love that.
No.
Oh, it's true. I tells you.
No, Nemesis is a great movie inside a weaker movie's shell.
What do you mean?
Well, there's so many really good bits, but the framework doesn't quite work. So if you like we talked John Eves and he loved the original script. Everyone loved the original script, and yet it turned into this. Even the original trailer, showed as a slightly different thing, but it doesn't. Like there's nuggets, but it's being held together by a weak framework.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Like ironically, take out B4. You know, he's the weakest part because it pulls a large chunk of, you know what I mean? The Roman intrigue stuff's pretty interesting. For what it is, it's pretty interesting. And the ending's actually a good build-up and a good payoff.
Yeah.
Don't kill Data. You didn't need to.
Well, if they thought they were getting another movie, that's why they did the B4 thing and the kill Data thing, because they thought that would just reconcile itself to be another return of Spock.
Well, it's also because Brent asked to do it. It was Brent helped pen the story. That was his thing to add. And it's like it wasn't narratively driven. It was because it was powerful, but it certainly wasn't compared to Spock, even though it's in a certain vein.
Okay, yeah,
It
was kind of shitty ending, to be honest.
But just the slither of ending, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, because Picard on Romulus saying that little speech of "I'm the first human to ever stand in the Senate chamber." That's a great scene. It's like, yeah, this is texture, you know. And Tom Hardy's a great job. Weird, but a great job. I can buy him as a crazy psychopathic clone of a Englishman.
Apparently, I was just reading earlier today on Twitter that movie performed so poorly that Tom Hardy sunk into a deep depression, got into cocaine and stuff.
No.
As a result,
what?
yeah, as a result of that, and for a few years was kind of saying things like "I'd sell my mother for cocaine" and things like that because he was just so depressed and down. Yeah, I saw this literally 2 hours ago when I was scrolling through Twitter. But then he went to rehab and has been clean ever since. But it was because of that movie, Star Trek Nemesis, that he was. Well, that was one of his first roles.
His first biggest. I mean, he was handpicked for something else, but yeah, he was. Yeah.
And it just flopped, and it really affected him. So
that's thanks, man. Didn't know that.
Yeah, well, now you do. Fat Produce puts in $2. Too bad Nemesis was Jay Goldsmith's last Trek score. Yeah, the scores for all the movies are pretty good. I have no real issue with any of them.
Yeah, even
Star Trek 6 was awesome too. I love Star Trek 6.
It's super atmospheric and yeah.
Yeah. I listen to that stuff a lot of times when I'm writing my Trekyards scripts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richard Kennedy puts in £4.99.
Thank you.
Where did Riker push that Riemann over into Nemesis? Big generic Star Wars fail. Yeah, that's akin to the Omega 13 device chamber in Galaxy Quest and the interior of the Discovery in the turbolift scene.
Yes. It's funny how life imitated art there. Galaxy Quest made fun of it. Nemesis did it as well.
Yeah.
That was. I mean, why? That's a non-understanding of anything about the franchise to say yes. There's a chasm at the bottom of that. They say it's like deck 14. So really, there's a deck from 14 to 21. I mean,
can see you. Yeah.
Now, it would have been kind of cool if they were fighting like around the warp core. And you know how Voyager has that like bit of space?
Mm-hmm.
It'd fallen down the warp core, but like they were ejecting it. Oh, that'd be kind of cool if they ejected the warp core, and then there was just the whole of the warp core, and then you see him fall down and actually go like out of the force, because maybe there's a force field protect like the doors. This is really getting exaggerated, but like it's a whole change of the ending. But imagine if they eject the escape pod and that destroys the scimitar, but the Riemann guy's still on board and Riker's fighting, and they get into an existing set of the engineering room, and he like shoots all engineers. It's really dramatic, and then he throws them over the rail, but the doors are broken on the bottom because the ship's badly damaged, and so he falls down and through the through the force field into space, and so he like pops out the bottom of the ship. It'd be kind of cool.
I think he should land on the force field and go, and then Riker like deactivate it.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Or just press a button. The second warp core comes in and smash it down at him.
Our replacement warp core
slabs into place. Oh, brilliant. That's gruesome, but was a bit of a gruesome scene. So, or at least mean scene.
Joseph Petrick puts in €5.
Oh, Joe.
Have you noticed how your boobs have started to firm up? Not that we care about such things in this day and age. Stuart admitted it's a funny movie. Yes, and my boobs are firming up quite nicely. No one needed to see that. Fat Produce, $2. Tom Hardy had addict problems thanks to Nemesis. Yes, that's what I was just saying. Which is a sad, sad thing. Usually, once an actor gets on Star Trek, your career is set because you can show up to conventions for the rest of your life and sign autographs. Especially
your pocketbook.
Not so much movie actors. Yeah. Well, your life is set, not your career. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Garrett Wang, that's his entire livelihood.
Yeah.
But it's funny. There's an actor that was in Stargate that from the context of Stargate is like, oh, that guy, but he's actually a personal trainer because he doesn't get enough acting gigs to pay the bill. Mm-hmm. So he's a personal trainer.
Yeah.
If he has a gig, he does it. And so every day he does his normal job, and then he comes to a convention in America, and he's been, came to the UK and has been complimented for this thing he did 10 years ago. It's like, lots of people have secondary jobs because they've got to. It isn't. Yeah. It can't be a career, and Yeah.
Yeah. Fat Produce puts in $10. Thank you very much, Fat Produce. Think about how in Star Trek 6, Spock brain rapes Valeris for the location of the peace conference, but knows Sulu already has the location, so no brain rape was necessary at all. #brutal Spock. Well, I think they did that scene to just exemplify the relationship that he had with Valeris, the student-teacher thing, and how she let him down. Maybe he was taking revenge. I don't know. Seemed like he was very much more emotional after he got resurrected because he has part of McCoy in him. Mm-hmm. It kind of McCoy's emotional baggage there. So
I think it also uncemented his own personal baggage. He was able to sort of reset his own, be more his own man rather than based on this. Because he's not the same person. He isn't. He couldn't be. I mean,
and Ross is right. Ross Trowbridge says he also got the names out of Valeris, not just the location. So Admiral Cartwright, the Romulan ambassador and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what did you think about that when you? I don't know if you remember when you first saw it, but that scene with Valeris and Spock.
Didn't really affect me at all. I thought it was perfectly acceptable under the under the circumstances. Um, yeah, didn't really bug me. It's well acted on everybody's part. He looks thoroughly pissed. Um, and Valeris, I forget the name of the actress, but she did a fantastic job in that scene as well. So
It would have been nice if it was Savick. It would have ruined that character, but as terms of like continuity and performance, I mean, Valeris I think did great. A little bit too stoic.
which Valeris? Or sorry, no, which Savick?
I mean, either. I like them both in different ways, so I'd say
Yeah.
the one that would come back. Probably the second one would make more sense because she was in two.
Speaking of
Two
Robin Curtis, the one that plays the second one,
Yeah.
she's now a real estate agent. So
Cool.
Jima,
Good for her.
Jimon 78 puts in
Hey.
5 pounds. Why was Shinzon so pissed at Picard? He did nothing to him at all. If anything, it's the Romulans he should have issues with. That movie sucked. Because the underlying thing there is Shinzon saw in Picard what his life could have been had he not been a clone. You know, a esteemed Federation captain and, you know, well respected. And instead he was, I understand the misplaced anger a little bit. I've always thought it'd be interesting to have a conversation with yourself, like a clone of yourself, because you see it like with Riker and Thomas Riker and Will Riker, how they get mad at each other. It's the same person. It's you. You know, it would always be. I would like to see what that's like. I do things that piss myself off, and I live in my body.
Sucks, doesn't it, sometimes?
So to see myself doing it, yeah.
Well, to be fair, you can just go back and watch the Trekyards archive and see a slightly different version of yourself. Especially the old.
Well, I've been watching
you.
the old captain's logs that they upload in the personal channel. It's like, damn.
I did the talk recently, and I showed original clips where you mentioned me those first like 6 mentions, and it's like it's a different person. I mean, you're you, but you're so much more confident now, and you've really blossomed as a person.
Awesome.
It just took a web show with thousands of people watching. And I will say this Shinzon thing, I think actually I'm fine with it because he was made for a purpose. But the purpose was because of Jean-Luc Picard. And it failed because of because it didn't quite work together. So he was punished because he was failing to be Jean-Luc Picard. Because he wasn't him. Because he was trying to be like it was all, without Picard, he wouldn't have been created. It all comes down to, it's like Adam and Eve being thrown into thrown back to Earth. But if you knew it was, if you go back and meet the snake, you'd be pissed at the snake because okay, didn't know where I was going, but you know what I mean. It's without this man existing, I wouldn't have had 20 years of torture, of living harsh, of fighting every day.
See,
I couldn't be my own man because of him. Yes, the Romulans did the physical, and they should have just killed him. Why keep him alive? But
I compare it to like a father and a son, and a son that was abandoned by his father. Yep. His father had every intention to stay married to his mother, but something happened, and then he disappeared completely out of the picture, thinking it was for the best for the kid, but the kid really resents him for it because he was never there for his life. That's kind of the vibe I get from that whole relationship with those two. Kind of like if, not that Picard knew he existed, so I mean, but like you could have been here to help me, kind of thing, sooner, but anyway, I got another 250 ruble super chat. I like First Contact for opening credit themes and new ship design, the Akira and especially the Sovereign. Yeah, there's a lot of cool new stuff in First Contact. First Contact is by far the best TNG movie, hands down, and one of the best Star Trek movies out there for sure. John Harrison puts in £5. Are the Remans from the Mirror Universe? They don't take to light all that much. No, they're just from a dark moon. But maybe. Richard Kennedy puts in £4.99. Generations Picard should have went back and stopped Dr. Soren in 10 forward when the end. Roll on First Contact with the Enterprise D. I agree. Why leave the Nexus when he did, or where he did? There's way easier ways to stop Soren. But storytelling, I guess. But no, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, Generations is filled with. Okay.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, think about the expertise of Captain James T. Kirk, and then combined with the expertise of, I say William Shatner, of Patrick Stewart. No, Picard, and then
Yeah.
without the timing of having time to worry about, they could have stayed at Nexus for 6 weeks, planned out a strategy, played that strategy in their own personal like custom world, and then gone back and been flawless. What did they do? They said, "Come with me, Captain. What are we gonna do? Hell knows. Let's walk up. Oh no, he's dead." It's a really poor plan, and you can imagine the first screening where he gets shot in the back, and I mean the audience must have been rioting. It's like, this is awful. Again, why would you think that was a way? Kirk should have been on a bridge of a ship, in a space battle, with a picture, with the, you realize in his Monster Maroon he's got a picture of David, and a picture of Carol, and he's like when his son died originally, he slumps down in front of the captain's chair, right, but not on it, but next to it, and just looks at it as he says computer self-destruct, and he destroys the massive ultra baddie ship from the inside, and very like Independence Day, that guy flies in. It's kind of that's his heroic death. Instead, he punches a guy and then falls down a mountain and saves a planet of 70,000 people that no one cares about. It's such a bad ending for Kirk. So bad.
If he's not on the bridge of his Enterprise, it wouldn't have worked. If they put him on the bridge of the Enterprise D and he fought to the battle to the end and the ship exploded, then he would be blamed for destroying Picard's ship. So they were damned if they did that. But you can't. You need him on the bridge of his own ship.
But that's where you should have had him have the ability to time travel it and actually bring stuff through. I mean, who's to say the Nexus...
Bring the Enterprise through.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what happened to the Enterprise A. We never found out what happened to it.
I mean, yeah, well, who's to say he couldn't have been really time fuckery, honestly? And who says he couldn't have gone back and saw the Enterprise A as it was getting decommissioned, launched out, flew back into the Nexus with the Enterprise and gone back? I mean, you could have... I mean,
every ship that approaches the Nexus gets destroyed, don't you know? Mwah. That was the stupid thing, too, how Soren had to get into the Nexus. Because he couldn't fly a ship into it directly. That was one of the reasons, because every ship that goes near the Nexus gets destroyed. But people that were on ships that got destroyed by the Nexus, like Kirk... Yes. But the ship didn't get destroyed, but you know what I mean.
Well,
it's like...
he got lightninged.
Just fly near it. Until you get lightninged.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The problem is, though, we got all good things. Tremendously written, tremendously acted, tremendous effects, tremendous costumes.
Yeah.
They're writing that and Generations at the same time. All the creative goodness went into one, and they rushed to do the other. And that is the sole problem. They were really... I mean, I think they said they only had about 17 days between principal photography of each.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely incredible.
Insane. Richard Kennedy puts in another pound 99 and says, to be fair, Kirk died on a bridge. Actually, he died under a bridge. He was on a bridge on the ride down, but then he ended up under the bridge. So, yeah, it just wasn't a good end to a character.
And if his death is a funny punchline, did you know Kirk wanted to die on his bridge? No, he died under a bridge. If that's the payoff, it's like, oh. Like, it would have actually worked, ironically, if they'd brought William Shatner back for, like, Insurrection. Oh my god, bring his bloody remains back to the Baku planet. How funny would that have been? Like, 6 years later, he comes out like oh, hey guys, I'm back.
I'm Star Trek Jesus.
I'm Star Trek Jesus. I can never die.
Yeah.
No, but no, seriously, like, if almost the plot of Star Trek 13, the Insurrection story had been getting Kirk back, you have one in between, and they have... Wouldn't that have been kind of cool if the Borg tech, because of the Queen, which is what happened, in Kirk's novels, if that had given them technology to bring him back, combine that with the Baku planet, and they bring Kirk back at the end of that, and then I mean just to have him in retirement, and I don't obviously real history. I don't know if Scotty was okay enough. James Doohan was okay enough as a man at that point to have come back, because that would have been nice to have, like, he obviously he still lives in that time period. I don't know if he was okay to act at that point, but that would have been a nice way of, I don't know.
And Globule, yes, we talked about that earlier. I know we're talking about he's like, you should read Star Trek The Return by William Shatner. So yes, we did. We talked about that earlier, the whole Shatnerverse thing. Metallic Fan 1442 puts in £2. All good things should have been a TNG movie. Yeah, that would have worked fine as a movie. But
and ironically, if that had been Generations, and the third ship with the anti-proton beam was the Enterprise, was Kirk's, the Enterprise A. There you go. Sorted, easy.
Solved.
And then it's just a cameo. That's fine. Like, it starts in their timeline with some anomaly, cuts to TNG season 1, which would be weird. Cuts to TNG season, I guess, 8 if it was the movie. Like, that would have been actually really interesting, I think. Weird. But,
easily doable, though.
Okay, question, though. If you look at Generations, would you consider it more TOS or TNG era movie? Like, of the two crews?
Both.
but if one had to have a percentage over the other?
TNG, for sure.
And I would assume that was the case. And so just having Kirk in a movie doesn't mean that he takes over the movie, right? It didn't.
Should, though, because it's Shatner.
Okay.
It's Kirk.
So it would have been nice to have had a movie where that balance would still have been there, but I think you could have had it so there was still a TNG movie, but with an epic Kirk-ness. I don't think it would have necessarily taken over.
Yeah. AC Castillo puts in $2. Generation should have been a season finale, part 1 and 2. It feels more like it, to be honest. And actually, yeah, All Good Things seems more movie-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it's funny because Generations feels relatively small budget. It's more how it was filmed and the intro scene and the expensive stuff. The rest of the movie's relatively normal looking. Like, they just went to film on a mountain. Okay, the mountain was a real bitch, but just film on a less high mountain. You know what I mean? They could have done things to very similar ideals, but at a smaller TV budget. And Generations feels a bigger budget almost because it has 3 ships and action sequences and all these new. You know, it's not because it's a lot of redress. I hadn't thought about that. That's actually an interesting thing. And having Kirk at the season finale of TNG, but that would have been disrespectful, like the Enterprise one is.
Yes. Yeah.
So that wouldn't have worked so well.
I don't think anything as disrespectful as that was, though. But anyway, Gmon78 puts in £5.
Hey, thank you.
Did Picard really just abandon Kirk's body under a pile of rocks on some random planet? Surely, if anyone deserved a state funeral, it was that dude. I know, but I think the vibe was there that he didn't want anyone else to know that Kirk was brought back. I don't know. I thought it was odd myself. But it opens up perfectly for the Shatnerverse and those novels to just beam him off the mountaintop.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most. That is the first captain, and he's buried under 2 inches of rock on a no one gives a shit planet with a pre-warp civilization that never knew they got saved. It's so anticlimactic. At least Data got an epic sort of death. You know, even Raffle got an epic sort of death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Even the Borg Queen got a kind of epic death. Kirk, you know, not great. Even Cybok got a kind of epic death. Actually, didn't do too bad. I melded with Not God.
Yeah. Chris Caustic puts in $4.99.
Thank you.
I think the energy ribbon that struck the Enterprise B was the actual Nexus. I hate the way they ended Kirk. It was a cop-out ending to an iconic character. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But those videos... So, but those
Oh.
VFX in the start generations are brilliant. The B looks great. The Nexus looks, I mean, for the time as well, it's really good. And it really holds up, I think. Well, I never realised, but there's actually 3 visual effect shots of a digital B. And I thought it was all models, but you can actually tell because the texture work's not very good, comparatively. But they only built like a segment, but it was just the amount of motion control and lighting, they just couldn't do it with miniature. The amount of like, because the Nexus is very fluctuating lighting, that's just like, and you can really see it, the detail suddenly goes down a lot. Luckily, the B is quite smooth hull. You know, hasn't. I mean, they all have quite smooth hull, but it's not greebly filled.
I'll have to go back and watch that again.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Richard Kennedy puts in £1.99. The Enterprise D looked beautiful in Generations. It did. It looked. I loved all the new lighting. You saw the old sets that we've seen for 7 years on the show, but especially when they were at the Argus Array and the sun was shining through the windows of like 10 Forward and the Ready Room, just beautiful lighting in that movie. And I did like the redesigned bridge. I don't care what anybody says. I like the extra panels on the side. They should have had those the whole time because it's way better.
I just wish it wasn't as dark. Well, the lighting's beautiful, but it's not what we're expecting. Like, First Contact, look, I wish the First Contact lighting was more what they went for. They did art for art's sake. You know? I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but combine the radically altered design, because everything's different. All the pieces are different in some way, with radically different lighting and different film. I mean, you know, if you went to when you went to the cinema, you were expecting to see a TNG movie. You saw a movie that happened to have TNG in it. You know, all the sets felt completely different to how you've been seeing for 7 years. We're well past it now, but it must have been very strange. We're like, oh, this is different, huh? You know?
Yeah.
Whereas like Into Mirror Darkly, I think they had a better balance of, it's lit better, but it doesn't take away from the feel of the original. It just has a more ship feel rather than set feel. Does that make sense? Especially the bridge of the Teos Connie.
Probably makes sense.
Yeah.
But send Kirk back to the Gmon 78. Sorry. Oh, Ian Warrender. Sorry. Damn. £5. Send Kirk back to the Enterprise B. Fix it from the beginning. Leave Picard in the section to be damaged and go back to the Nexus to return home. There you go. That solves all the problems.
Let me
What's the Nexus? You can do anything.
Yeah,
right?
jeez. And Guinan would know, wouldn't she? Be like, oh, this wasn't meant to happen. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting. And that's bizarre. And Picard could have, and to be fair, Picard could have gone back with him, and then jumped back into the Nexus, and then gone back forward again. Oh, I hate you so much, Ian. That's brilliant.
He's one of our admins. By
I
the
know
way.
he is. That's brilliant. That's so easy as well.
I hate you so much.
And how cool that have been, though. Oh no! Okay,
Yeah.
let me double pitch this because Ian, you deserve this. So yeah, the scenes, they go back to the start of Generations again, and thing gets hit, right? And you hear Alan Ruck is on the bridge saying, or Scotty saying, Captain Gurrick. Pause. And then you heard, and then turbo lift opens, and Picard walks out, and they turn. It's like, Mr. Scott, I'm Captain. And he says all these little things, and he says, Kirk's trying to do this, this, and this, and you do this, this. It's like, aye. And then you see Picard, like, and then you actually retcon Relics to have him know who Picard is. Picard! Do I know you, sir? Yes, we met on the Enterprise B, because I now know that Kirk died.
And
So cool!
while you're doing that,
but awesome.
add Vulcan tips to Tim Russ's ears, so that somehow Tuvok is on the bridge too.
And on the Excelsior bridge, have him like go from Excelsior to Enterprise B as a natural evolution of his career.
Ba-boom.
Just throw him there behind. Yeah. Oh, there you go. You in the last scene of 6, you Photoshop out the guy that died. You put Tuvok in his place. Fixed.
Beltane.
There you go. You swap them out. That's brilliant. Love it. Uh,
Oh, our collective mind here in these lives is fun. Gmon78 puts in £5. At the end of Generations, why did Riker order Worf to just continually fire at will? I wouldn't want him firing at me personally if my name was Will. But anyway, even without shields, the D should have easily won that fight. Yes, but lucky hit and bad. I'm going to get in trouble again because I talked about this. I wrote this into our script of our Galaxy class episode. Bad design on the Galaxy class ships. One scrape to a nacelle from a Miranda style ship, and boom, fly a ship into the secondary hull, and boom, or you just get hit and causes a warp core cascade and malfunction. And yeah, they should have easily won that fight. I totally agree with you, but reasons, we needed to get rid of the ship and have a new ship for the next movie, so that's the reason. Although somebody said earlier, why did they crash the saucer on the planet? They should have saucer separated and kept the saucer alive, at least. Limping back or being towed back at the end of the movie would have been cool. Picked up by a Nebula class ship or something. But yeah, have the star drive section get destroyed, fine. But to see a saucer separation on the big screen, that was one of the reasons for that. But to have it crash into the planet, not really necessary. Because I don't think they'd remarry it to another. They wouldn't build a new secondary hull for it. They'd still say, okay, we're building a new Enterprise E.
The problem with Generations is that the budget, if you didn't spend it on the first scene on the boat and didn't spend it on the big crash, that's going to be like a tenth of your budget right back towards other general stuff. You know, two big set pieces. I think the crash pays off a lot better than the boat, personally, and the crash is gorgeous, but yeah, you could have come up with something cleverer, something else. I don't know. Like, even if they just eject the warp core and that exploded and that then caused the entire D to be like damaged and this drive section to like spark in there to eject this thing just to get safe and have some symmetry, the drive section crashes into the Viridian like the refit does. That would have been kind of like some nice symmetry. Just happens to crack because it can't stay away, and but you don't. All you do is you see the same visual. Picard looks up and the thing's fireballing. That would have been kind of like bit too referential, but it's always the problem with budget. Whereas First Contact, I think, is a wonderfully balanced movie. You know, a lot of villains are beautifully made up, and the sets are gorgeous, and the ship's gorgeous, and the costumes are, you know what I mean? They put a lot of money into that. It really felt it. I think same with 6. I just wasn't quite keen on the Ropenthe.
6 was very cheaply made. They reused a lot of TNG sets. You can see them. You do feel it when you start nitpicking at the sets and the backdrops and things. It's like, this is really not the best, but it's the story that holds that one together, and the acting. Yeah, sure, they had a cheaper budget and were using sets, fine, and clearly not really redressing some of them. But it's still a superior movie for its storytelling.
I do think for what they had, they did a good job redressing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was still, you know, it was some talent.
But they even used the Enterprise D warp core.
That, I think, is the absolute. I mean, there's a shot where the door's closed. You see the effing. Yeah. I hate with a passion.
And you see Geordi's little office there with the monitors and stuff. They changed all the monitors to Enterprise A monitors, but you can still see the pulsing warp core.
Not just that, Stuart. All of the actual touch panels are all LCARs still. They're just TNG. They don't. I get that's an expensive change. That's not just monitors, but that's the interim's the exception.
I know.
That is the exception. I think all the other ones. I mean, using 10 forward as the presence room, brilliant. It's really well redressed, and just the office room at the start with the massive congregation of officers, just having the black tarp stuff. Is a really good. Like, it's really good, but it's so cheap as anything. So I think it's a very. Again, I've said to you this before, but having 2 ships that are very similar redressed is a totally valid way of saving money and having a lot of scope. Wrath of Khan is such a bottle show, you know. It really is. It's the same set used 3 times, And out of the entire movie, that's what 65% of the movie is on those 3 sets, those 3 bridge sets, and that's that. And you don't sense it really because it's just so well done. How cool it'd been if Nemesis Shinzon rather than Scimitar, they'd stolen like the USS Sovereign and given it a transphasic cloak. And so same thing, you'd used like a Romulanized, which they did do. Ironically, the Valdor was a Romulanized kit bash bridge thing. But I mean, it would have been a bit weird. But but wouldn't that have made more sense though? Okay, another question to you. God, so many weird questions. Would you preferred a story Nemesis actually have actual Stuart playing Shinzon and actually be him? Like the plan was almost ready to start.
Mm-hmm.
And it failed. Or maybe he's flying an Enterprise D. They stole the galaxy, in the Dominion War, and he's in the old costume, and it would have been like, I
would have preferred that in some ways, yes.
Yeah.
Because Tom Hardy really doesn't resemble Patrick Stewart at all. They didn't even do anything to change that. So I would have preferred somebody that looked like him or CG'd him or something. I know at the time it wouldn't have worked, but but to have an older Picard closer to Picard's age, I don't think would have worked either. Because I think it was meant to show the brashness of youth and the whole not being seasoned or experienced enough with life to really see things from Picard's point of view, as the older Picard, to really be jealous and envious of what you see your future could have been, So I think that's why they went with the young version. But I would have preferred that Patrick Stewart do it, to be honest, because it would have made a lot more sense to a lot more people. Because a lot of people didn't really catch on to the whole. That's supposed to be Patrick Stewart, a young Patrick Stewart, even though it's explained.
Really? People didn't get that?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people that I've talked to just didn't understand that because they're not Star Trek fans. Like, what? What do you mean it's a clone? It's like,
I mean,
never mind.
And that's the joke. He's bald, even though he shouldn't be. Although, come on, if you've lived in the dilithium mines of Remus, I think it's fine you lose your hair. Like that in itself is fine.
Radiation.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think it would have been really nice if they'd brought the original, guy from the photo back, the guy from the flashback, and him have his full hair. It would have been really confusing. Except it wouldn't have been if you go back and watch the canon. It's one of those things that like it almost should have been an episode or a 2-part episode. They could have just brought back the actual prequel version of him. It would have been weird, but it wouldn't have been as Picard. But it would have been fun to actually see Picard, the young Picard, act like young Picard, because we do get like you said, Tom Hardy he's not channeling Stewart because he can't. He's so radically different in personality now. He's just playing Shinzon. Whereas like the Riker, Frakes playing Thomas and Will, that's a tricky one because you've got to channel a different vibe of yourself of yourself, the character.
Well, you got a few super chats.
This is a really cool conversation, Stuart.
It is.
God love our fans. Just good things.
250 rubles. Not enough love for Star Trek. Back. To be or not to be. Bird O' Prey 5 puts in $2. Six director's cut was far better than the theatrical. I don't know if I've seen the director's cut of 6. I didn't know there was one. Is there?
Oh no, it's the one. That's the standard one. It's the one where you actually see, it be the plan.
Yeah, that's
you see Odo basically.
This is not Klingon blood. That's added into that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it's more scenes are good. I think it's fine. It adds that extra layer, and you know that the Romulan ambassador is involved, which is kind of cool.
Nautilus, yeah. Gmon78 puts in £2.
Thank you.
Tom Hardy had a prosthetic nose for that one. Well, yeah, because to get that profile of Picard, that's what they were banking on, the bald head and the nose to pull across, and it didn't for me. It did not feel like a young Patrick Stewart. Nothing about it. Not the acting, not the look. Sorry. Esoteric Videos puts in $2 and says, thoughts on Generations Picard and Kurlon Naskos.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
It's the thing that, remember, the most special thing he ever had, his present from his old professor. There's the rarest thing ever. They just threw it away, and it's like, oh. Yeah. But this was the bestest thing ever.
I do remember watching the movie in the theater the first time, saw that, and went, Okay, I need to go watch that episode again because I thought that meant more to him. But okay, yeah, that was an odd choice. It's interesting that they included it. Hey, this was on your set. This was in your office. I guess it's important to you. Here you go. Oh, thanks. I don't remember that episode. Oh, what a piece of shit.
No one does apparently. It is weird. Out of all the items they could have picked, you know,
Yeah, he should have picked up his dead fish, dead lionfish.
or simply like Spot, picks up the flute and then puts it like just holds it for the rest of the scene. Doesn't like that would have been nice. Doesn't need to throw anything away like the book and then the flute and
He didn't really throw it away. He set it down. There was still salvage crews coming to recover all this stuff.
This is
so it's not like it. It's not like it was broken. He lifted up the top part and then set it down. He bent down to set it down. He didn't throw it. So
well, okay. Side question then: do you think that when a ship crashes, when a ship is lost like that, do you think the Federation are going to send basically get it all up? De-replicate it.
Mhm.
You can't leave tech.
Mm-mm.
I mean, that's a pre-old civilization anyway. So I mean, maybe I guess it could all be taken at some point. And it's also the flagship. I mean, the data core. Yep. They take the data core. That's quite important to take. And
well, you saw at the end all the shuttles sitting on the hull.
Yeah,
that were like loading stuff on, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're a salvage operation. They would take everything off, return everybody's personal belongings if they could figure out whose is whose, and deconstruct the ship and get it off the planet.
But do you think it'd be like actually the entire ship, would that be the mantra to get everything off?
Yes, I would think so.
I would think so too.
Erase all evidence,
or just torpedo it. To be fair, that'd save you several weeks.
Yeah, big dust cloud kills the civilization because they enter an ice age, and
Thanks for that. No, or you just phaser around it, and then the Earth gives
tractor
way,
beam it up,
or just that. No, because construction integrity will be so compromised. If you did that, all the material would start breaking apart and it'd crack. Doubt that would work.
I was just being.
I know. Sorry, you asked a serious question. I gave a serious answer. That's what you were aiming for, right?
How dare you? Gmon78 puts in 2 pounds and says,
"Thank you."
The prosthetic nose did a better job than Hardy. Yeah, Hardy wasn't great in that role, to be honest. Yeah, but yeah. Just saying.
It was better than. In Looper. They gave him the nose. It's like, huh. Wow, your face stands out a lot now.
Well, yeah.
No, yeah. What about, though, Star Trek 2? We haven't talked about that movie, though, Stuart. And we pretty much haven't talked about Star Trek 2. Why is that movie so good? Why is the movie so good?
Because it's got relatable themes, vengeance, and just getting older, generally, people. Even though Kirk, there we go again. Kirk wasn't old in that movie, even though they tried to make it out like he was getting older. He wasn't old for really our time, let alone in the future. But just, the themes of friendship, revenge, family, with finding out he has a kid and, humanizing him a bit with Carol Marcus. I think there's a lot of things about that movie that really make it, it strikes home for a lot of people because it's very relatable. And also tying it back into TOS, bringing back a classic villain and then having some fantastic acting on top of it. Plus, just the production of it, like you said, redressing the sets to be use the same bridge and never having, even though they're adversaries, never having Kirk and Khan come face to face ever. Just some great themes and things going on in that movie that I think make it stellar. Plus, I think the fact that Nicholas Meyer wasn't really a Star Trek fan, so he kind of divorced himself a little bit from the standard we had seen from the Federation. He wanted the Monster Maroons. He wanted something more militaristic, even though Gene was kind of opposed to it. I think those changes as well really helped that movie and tied it together because they ended up using those for the next 4 or 5 movies. So just the visual aspect and all those things about it. Again, this is one time I'll say that bringing in somebody who didn't know anything about Star Trek was a good idea, because Nicholas Meyer is a good screenwriter. He's a good director. He's a very talented person, and he wasn't stuck to the old ideals of Star Trek that Gene Roddenberry was and a few of the other people. So he brought something new, he infused something new into it, and then he got a real love for Star Trek as a result. So that's my long tirade on it.
Yeah, I good tirade. I think the motion picture is a very science fiction, but Wrath of the Khan is very human. You know, it elevates everything to a very relatable, personal level, and it makes all the science fiction stuff, except like Genesis, which is important, obviously, but it makes all the science stuff just a day in the life of, you know, and therefore the important stuff is the character stuff. They just happen to live in a Trek world, and this is why I said to you, God knows how many times, the best Trek story is one that just happens to take place in the Trek world. This story could take place in any world as a raw story. But they've been able to use the canon, the universe, the characters really well. And it's a... And also, I remember, you know, we watched the commentaries. Oh, sorry, you want to jump in?
I was going to say, I mentioned all the things that's relatable. Growing old, family, friendship, death, having to deal with that. It kind of covers all the gamuts of... And as you said, makes it human, but as I said, makes it relatable. It's something anybody can watch and kind of understand the characters' motivations at some point during the movie, whether it be about they've lost somebody close to them, or they're starting to feel older and not as useful as they used to. You know, a bunch of different things tie into it. So it makes it very approachable as a movie for people that are just human.
Yeah.
Plus the music. The music was fantastic.
It's also clever, you know, and also simple. You know, 'cause it is a revenge story, but we had several revenge stories. We have Nemesis as well. We have 09, and '09 lacks any depth. Nemesis does have some depth, but it's also lacking some serious other elements.
Yes.
And I do think, honestly, that the budget limitations in Star Trek 2 meant they had to just push the creativeness so far. You know, like, I remember that in the commentary they said, well, we couldn't film in a real desert, so we had to build this little bit of set and do the sand, and we all hated it. And it looks amazing. But that was cheaper than wasting money going to a real desert for 20 seconds on film, a minute on film. Actually, the effect is really like, well, you couldn't necessarily create that as well, because you'd have, if you were looking at a long desert, you couldn't sand the entire desert, but you could sand in that sort of strength this teeny area. So you get this really unbelievable sand because it's, la 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 la. I don't know. I think it's just a true better than some of its parts. I think 4 is the same thing, better than some of its parts, with a few slightly weaker bits, but it's
Yeah, the one thing about Star Trek 2, like, do you feel that everybody got their amount of screen time? Like, I'm talking about Uhura, Sulu. Chekhov certainly did. Sulu definitely didn't. Uhura, no. I don't know. See, that doesn't make a good Trek movie just because everybody gets screen time. You know what I mean?
Well, we said this, separately. We got a little bit, not flack, but a little bit of flack that it's not Trek is not an ensemble. Because it really is just these few things and bobs. That's kind of true. It is these core characters, and yet, it would have been nice to see more for sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things is, I don't know, why not make Uhura in command training? There's be the head of the cadets. I mean, there's weird things you could have done for the sake of it. But if they'd known, wow, just like TNG, you had to give everyone something to do. If they'd said, oh yeah, this crew, something to do. That would have been, I think it would have been nice. Would have been a less focused film, but,
Well, it again, it maintained that feel from TOS because literally the secondary
know.
characters didn't have
I
much to do in
know.
TOS. But that being said, Star Trek 4, everybody kind of got some, something to chew on as far as lines went, and it still had that very fun TOS kind of episode feel. So,
What? And then 6.
mm,
I mean, 6 is still super focused, but they keep cutting back to the 3 other leads with one-liners, with little bits of scenes. Guess who's coming to dinner? He's a great little, and he gets really give that something. It might be racist, it might be negative, but it's something really strong for a moment. So coming back to these people, whereas like I said, motion picture is so focused on these new people that mean nothing, leave at the end. They're important plot-wise, but we don't forget. I mean, Ilea is a instant forget. As soon as you leave the cinema, you've forgotten who she is. And yet her first line dialogue is my celibacy is on record, and it's like, calm down, we get it, you're a sex species, but it's like, you know what I mean, trying to be special, and it's like, no.
yeah. So
So much to talk about with these films.
my favorite movies: Star Trek 2, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4, Star Trek 6, First Contact, and maybe Beyond.
Beyond's good. We haven't mentioned Beyond at all, have we?
We haven't. A lot of people hate Beyond.
What? How could you hate Beyond?
I don't know. It's beyond me. Because I've heard a lot of complaints like they use the loud or the music, the frequency of the music to destroy the bad guys, and how it's kind
I
of,
have no problem with that. It's set
neither
up.
do I.
It's explained. And come on, compare that to Aft Nacelle. You know what I mean?
The Aft Nacelle. It's like,
or Khan being white because we wanted a white actor instead of there's dumb reasons versus whatever reasons. I mean, Beyond is a genuine Star Trek story.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
I do honestly think though that we were biased in that we obviously had lower expectations going in, which helped. I think Into Darkness. I mean, I think 09. I was hoping for something better. And then I got Into Darkness, but I was like,
Yeah.
it could be
Exactly.
oh well, they've got fresh chance, but Beyond was okay, we'll do it. Oh, and everyone got something to do as well. Although I don't think Spock was well done in Beyond. I think they didn't know what to do with Spock. At least for the middle. Start and the end are great, but the middle, where he's injured and he's being all emotiony, didn't get that. Let's put him somewhere.
That's par for the course for those movies with Spock.
Oh god, yeah.
And
And I will say the alien lady, also great.
Jayla.
Yeah, great as a one-off alien lady villain. Great. Well, not villain. Lady of the Staff. Sorry.
More. The one thing I didn't like about it was the motorcycle. I wish that would have been changed to something else. But
why though?
Yeah.
Why?
Pick your battles.
Give me a reason why.
It's just odd having a motorcycle on a starship. That's all.
But it was an odd starship. It was way early, and the captain.
I know, but still, come on.
Have
a futuristic bike or something. Why is it always got to be these callbacks in these movies, like the old Corvette, like the Nokia phone service?
Because we get paid for it.
Well, that but
Koppenberg, no, what's the beer?
Budweiser.
Yeah, Budweiser. Ugh.
Budweiser Classic.
Wow. But the thing is, would you rather than had the hover bike from 09?
Yes. But I rather would have, to be honest.
Oh, that cop though has a weird sequence. Remember the trailer? Remember the first trailer? I was like, at no point I think it was a Star Trek until then it's like, this is Star Trek?
Yeah, I know.
What?
I know.
What is your name? James T. Kirk. No, it's not. Shut up. Who are you really? You're not Kirk. Oh God. No, I don't know. It's weird.
Well, yeah, but other than that, I enjoyed Beyond. One of the things I really liked about Beyond was the destruction of the Enterprise. Even though right before that they had some beautiful shots of that thing flying
Best it
through the asteroids, like really well done. Even though it had the ugly struts, the refit struts that they had on it,
but
the shots they
better
used.
proportion engines though, that helped.
Yeah, and the shots they used were nice. They look good on the screen. So
it's like Discovery. They found the good angles rather than just rather than having the pride of we love this awful-ish.
See you, Jamal. Jamal has to bail.
Ah, bye, Jamal. But let's talk about Into Darkness, because we've been dancing around that for an hour and a half now. We've been actually not. I mean, we've been not talking about this on purpose. No. Thoughts?
I watched this not that long ago because it was on TV.
Oh, I'm sorry.
To be fair, I enjoy parts of Into Darkness as a guilty little pleasure more than I do 2009 Star Trek. I really like Benedict Cumberbatch's acting. He's a great villain. He's just not Khan. # not my Khan. And it's got some excellent sequences in it, but there's some real stupidity in that movie. I still say it should have been called Into Dumbness because it's just. But overall, it's a fun watch to see RoboCop and Sherlock Holmes all doing their thing. The aft nacelle thing is kind of annoying. So is falling from the moon into Earth's atmosphere with no structural integrity field, and then all of a sudden stopping the thrusters. Yeah, that wouldn't snap the ship in half or anything. It's got a lot of stupidity, but at the same time, it's kind of a fun watch. I think it gets a lot more hate than it really deserves. And this is me saying this. People just say it's a bad movie overall, and it's not. If you want to just sit down and shut your brain off and have some fun, see some hammy acting, it's a great movie. It's not a good movie, but it's a great sit down and just do nothing movie. It's not a good Star Trek movie.
I prefer it to 09. Because 09, it fails in the prime stuff. Beyond the Kelvin exterior.
Mm-hmm.
And it fails in the character stuff. And there's so many stupid lines that just ruin so many things. And it destroys Vulcan. I mean, it's like, awful. But
Into Darkness.
I love Into Darkness' setup. With the blowing up the thing and it's a really intriguing piece. Espionage and it being Khan is really interesting. I love the alternate reality nature of it. It would have been great if it was a more appropriate actor, just for the sake of it making more sense.
Well, would you have liked it better if it was Benicio del Toro, like it was supposed to be? Because
if he wasn't acting like it was in episode 8, didn't like. That's the only thing I've really seen him in, and I was like, oh.
In episode 8, what do you mean?
Benicio del Toro plays the spy codebreaker.
Oh yeah. But
Snake
I mean,
guy.
he's got more of the look.
Yeah, but his acting was like, I don't want to see him anything ever again from that film.
No, that's don't use that film as a
I know, but that's my one experience of the band. So it's like that's all I have.
Don't hold that against him. Not.
Well, it's hard.
I enjoyed seeing that performance because it was way out of his wheelhouse and not typical. And I thought it was fun, and I liked the stutter.
Sure.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, we went better with a more appropriate Khan, and also if they had, rather than they didn't think that film through. That's the biggest problem. They didn't. Although, as we said, it was rushed into production, and it's clear, even though VFX are brilliant. If they'd set up Khan, even start with a flashback. Earth, 1990.
Can't do that though, because it's supposed to be John Harrison. It's not supposed to be.
No, but that's the point though. It isn't. If it was actually the correct looking chap, and they show the audience who Khan is. So imagine that you flash back to 1996, and you got this burning city, and there's Benicio del Toro walks down, just shoots a guy with a gun point blank in the face, and then stands in front of this podium and you pan over and there's like 60,000 people and he's saying, "My children of the eugenics, this ship," and he looks behind him as Botany Bay, just slightly updated, "I will control the stars." Oh, well, he leaves, doesn't he? But like a flashback sequence, really powerful stuff.
He got exiled in that ship. It wasn't his ship.
You know, linking into the canon. Sorry, I was trying to be more dramatic than I was remembering.
Gotcha.
And then it cuts to like, you know, then it cuts to the Enterprise, because it'd be fun if the Enterprise found them instead. Have, you know, like, flashbacks again to their version of that encounter, where it went even more violent, even more weird, and then it cuts to the present. And so we've set up who Khan is, they know who Khan is, and then the Section 31 stuff happens. You'd like, there is no reveal. It doesn't work because no one knows who he is.
It shouldn't have been Khan, is what you're saying.
Well,
it could have been if they just had some kind of genetically enhanced Superman that's not Khan.
Well,
it would have been fine. Why steal the other Star Trek 2's premise?
Or just a rogue Section 31 agent. He's just as deadly.
Because he's been enhanced, not invented somehow.
Well, you don't even need that. At what point in the movie was that any use?
Crushing heads.
Yeah, but
crushing people's skulls.
Yeah, but give him some like exo gloves. I don't know.
Plus, it was required to bring Kirk back to life because that was so impactful that Kirk died. Do you remember that Kirk died in that movie?
Who's Kirk? Was William Shatner in that movie? What?
No, it's that young punk kid that wants a lot of money. Pine.
Yeah, well, he's not young anymore, Stuart. He's well past young. But it's sad because in Beyond he did brilliant. Like he is not a bad Kirk.
No, he's not.
He was not given brilliant stuff. Into Darkness could have been great. Either commit to a Khan with a Khan story, or commit to a Section 31 story. Vengeance should have been like smaller than the Enterprise. That would have been smarter. Make it smaller, and be just instantly more powerful. Have a great scene where it comes out of warp and they're trying to scan it, and they're like, we can't get any readings. And they're like, but it's the size of a light scout ship. Lock weapons, and it starts firing, and the Enterprise like, and it fires everything. And the Vengeance has these really cool shield emitters. It does nothing. And then Khan's just like, try again, gentlemen, or Peter Keller's like that, Peter Weller. And that would have been better, like a Defiant approach. This really small, amazingly powerful ship rather than a huge ship. That was dumb.
You know what? Necro Globulo says, I disagree. Pine was not Kirk. He was mainstream culture's stereotype version of Kirk. And I buy that. I think there's more to Shatner's Kirk than meets the eye. He's like a transformer. But yeah, they turned Kirk into a lady killer, don't care about anything, super smart, don't have to do anything. You're right. You're absolutely right. It is a stereotypical version of what people think Kirk is. Doesn't have the depth of Shatner's Kirk. So, just want to point that out. Del Toro would have been superb as Khan. Yeah, I'm sure he would have been. Yeah. But yeah, so to be fair, Beyond is my favorite of all three of the JJ verse films. And a lot of people just don't understand that. They really kick that horse. They don't like Beyond. And the fact is, it was boycotted at the time because what CBS was doing with a few other issues. And so people boycotted the movie and didn't go see the movie. And that's one of the reasons it underperformed. That's one of the reasons we're so far not getting a Star Trek 4, because they don't have the budget to fulfill the contracts that were signed before Beyond was made. And that's really sad, guys, because of a boycott and silliness that... but anyway.
I've said this before. It should have been Beyond to start off the JJ verse. Would have been a nice, gentle ride of, imagine you start off with this great little scene with Kirk, and it would have been younger, but it would have been fine, having been the second in command, who's doing this negotiation with these weird aliens. Great. Beams up, Pike's in charge, gives him the box goes into the thing, and then when Krall attacks the ship, Pike gets hurt, and Kirk has to take command because he's second in command, And it's like, well, that's not what happened in Prime. But that's fine because it's an alternate universe. You say that there's no incident that changes. It's just a unique universe. And then Pike's in charge. Spock's science officer. They're friends, but a friendly rivalry, like brothers. You start because they're both younger in this timeline, and there you go. Movie goes. And then the reason Kral is so effective is because Kirk is so inexperienced, because he's not a very complicated villain, but the Kirk's experience helps him not be as good. But also the fact that he's losing his crew that he's trying to protect for Pike gives him that emotional stake. Then you've got, because he's a cadet recently, he knew about the Franklin, so he knows about the whatever, and instead of the motorbike, the Franklin, he knows the Franklin classes were turned into survey vessels and were given short-range land vehicles in their... Like, he knows that.
Like the Argo.
Like, the Argo. And so he steals that, and Jay doesn't know what it is, doesn't know what a vehicle is, and he steals that because he knows all about it, because he's studied it in cadet school. And there you go, you've got the tying of events. What do you think? Does that sound any better? If that was Star Trek 09?
Oh, Star Trek 09, yeah. Anything would be better than what we got. But yeah, that would be good.
And then second film, you skip 10 years in the future. He's now captain.
Yes.
Boom. Then third film is whatever the hell you want.
No.
Oh, it's just, yeah.
Super Coops puts in 5 pounds.
Thank
Motorbike
you.
Scene and Beyond, and most of Into Darkness. Shaka When the Walls Fell. Okay.
I have no
I've got
problem.
another 300 and...
Sorry.
Another 350 ruble super chat.
Thank you.
JJ movies had good actors, but only Beyond allowed them to act well. Act. Well, except Carl Urban. This guy pulled the thing even in the first 2 movies. Yeah, I'd say he was the best out of the trifecta as far as nailing the character. But that being said, he's also the only real Star Trek fan in that trifecta. I mean, Zachary Quinto is, but he's not as big a fan as Carl. Is it Carl Urban or Keith Urban?
Carl.
Why am I Carl? Okay. Man, am I tired. So yeah, he actually went back and watched all the TOS episodes with his son prior to doing the role to get that vibe. And that's, I wouldn't say it's dedication because he's a huge fan, but still, damn. More so than, I mean, Zachary Quinto kind of looks the part of Spock, but really, it's way too emotional. That's the writing, though. I mean, he can act like Spock, but just no.
Yeah, great look, wrong scripts.
Yes. Keith is a country. Yeah, Keith Urban is a country. That's why I was getting them mixed up. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm not even in the country. I just know there's Keith Urban, and I was like, wait a minute, which one is it? I usually never stumble on that one. My apologies. I didn't want him to act like Leonard Nimoy, though. Well, he didn't really, but they really wrote his character wrong. He was way too emotional, like beating people up every 5 minutes. I get it. His planet got destroyed, and he saw his mother die. Yeah. But
Which
still.
also makes no sense based on the tech and the way they did it, and just beam her up, guys.
But she was falling.
But they were falling other times, and
Right?
it's just... Into Darkness is into hot mess. It's just not a great movie. Anyway, let's talk about, well, let's jump back to 5 then. Let's jump back to 5 and talk about the good bits of 5. I know you obviously love the TOS-y stuff, but what are the best bits of 5? Theoretically the least reviewed of the Prime, with Into Darkness being the least reviewed of the Kelvin. What go for 5.
We are go for 5. To be fair, the best things about 5 are the interactions between Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. They really hold true to what we see in the animated. Wow, am I tired? The original series, because you get that camaraderie with them, with the camping, and even Spock trying to have some humor. Hold your horse, Captain. Mm-hmm. That's what really stands out for me with that one. Also, the Klingon scenes. I love the Klingon captain, the young reckless Klingon captain. I thought was cool.
Mm.
Shooting space junk and just
Mm-hmm.
out with his dad's ride, I guess. And it also the whole vibe of going to find God is again very TOS inspired. That they run into God every couple episodes on TOS, or a God that claims to be something that's not. So
I do think the payoff is worth it for the God subplot for who and what he is and why. His death isn't great, but the actual reveal is pretty great. And that scene is actually a good payoff considering.
yeah,
Could be anticlimactic. Finding God, that's such a good set of scenes.
yeah. The things that are bad about it are numerous, just some production errors and stuff. But
Yeah.
the Enterprise, making it to the center of the galaxy, introduction of Cybok, not necessary. It could have been somebody Spock grew up with, but not a brother.
Michael Burnham.
Yeah, somebody needs to do a re-edit of Star Trek V with Michael Burnham instead of Cybok.
That would have been interesting, though.
Oh man.
She uses Sarek's Cotra juice to influence people.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think 5 gets a little bit too much grief for what it is, but you got to ride the wave, right? Like Star Trek 5 is awful. So is Nemesis. So is Beyond. You have to ride those waves because that's what the general consensus is. Because a lot of people watch them, maybe don't remember them, and then hear all this talk about it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. So all of a sudden it's bad without actually thinking or going back and rewatching it themselves.
Well, this is why reviews are so. This is why for Discovery, and obviously you watch it live, that helps. I don't allow myself to even go on the internet beyond finding the episode to look at reviews, because anyone saying either love it or hate it changes your personal interpretation, because expectations are a huge thing. If you go in thinking you love it, you don't. It affects it. For example, I watched Alien 3, the original version, sneakily downstairs while my parents were away on a bad VHS with low volume because it was an 18 when I was like 15. Not a good movie. The director's cut I watched like 5 years later on DVD, proper volume. Excellent movie. That extra 45 minutes makes the movie excellent. But because I think I had such poor expectations going in, that double helped. I'd already set myself, and yet it was the same scenes, but it was much, much better. Passengers, Interstellar, right? I knew nothing about it at all. But I was like, Dad, do you want to go see it? Okay. And then when Anne Hathaway does it, I'm like, oh, she's in this. And then Matt Damon, oh, he's in this. If it was a trailer, it's all revealed, but I had nothing. So I was like, oh, this is brilliant. I loved it. But then you see the film that you've been, like, The Predator. I go in hoping it's going to be good. I really want a Predator film to be good. And it's like, oh, I'm trying so hard to like this. Yeah, sure. There's some good bits here.
Yeah.
Expectations really can screw you over so badly.
Yeah.
Do you have any films that happen for you, Stuart? Like real specific examples?
Ooh, real specific examples.
So those two stick out in my mind.
Okay. One that really sticks out for me is Transformers. I'm a huge Transformers fan. So when I heard that they were making a live action movie, I was like, yes! Then I started to see what the robots would look like. And I'm like, no! But then I went in kind of with low expectations because of that. And you know what? It's a fun movie. It was not what I expected, but out of all the movies, I think it is the best one, the first one. And then they just get worse. So I like that. I like that rather a bit more than I thought I would. I mean, I'm sure there are others that I've gone into with high expectations. Just can't think of any right offhand, to be honest.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed the third one more. I like the hour and 20-minute long battle, and Spock being. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Like he's got so many Spock quotes, and he's so good.
And he's even got
role.
Spock ears.
I know. I just.
Yeah.
Oh, I do think the blonde was better than the original lady. Just she had more character. She wasn't defined by sex appeal. She had her own character. That's why all I
But
was
super sex appeal as well.
Yeah, but it wasn't that. They knew that wasn't the defining feature. You know, she was a
Well, the
car
first scene
salesman.
of her is her walking up the stairs with no, like, just panties on. How is that not sex appeal?
Because no, that's what I'm saying. Was Megan? What's her name?
Megan Fox was in
Yeah,
the first two.
but her entire character was I'm the hot girl that Sam Witwicky likes. She had
Yeah.
no individual storyline. The other woman actually had a storyline of her own and her own character. That's why the second one kind of fails even further because all Megan does is that thing. There isn't dimensionality to it. So I like the third one because it allows the story to breathe more. It's also not racist like the second one is. I didn't.
I'd buy that, sure. But I mean, they're all kind of fun in their own way, but some of them are just drawn out. Anyway,
The second one is boring as well. It's very, very long. It's very, very long.
yeah. The point is,
Which is your favorite Star Trek movie?
yeah, expectations can really make or break something for you. Either you go in with low expectations and it just blows you away, even though it's not super great. Your first impression is one of, damn, that was better than I thought.
Okay, question then to you again. When Nemesis came out, because that was the one I actually remember the entire cinema experience. I know I went to see Insurrection, but I don't remember it much. What did you get pre-knowledge of the reviews for Nemesis before you saw it in the cinema? Or did you see it before you knew the reviews? Were you biased at all going in, or were you just like waiting for it to see it?
I honestly can't remember. I can't remember if I saw that one in theater even. Honestly, I don't remember. I have no idea when my first time I saw Nemesis was.
Oh, and Wade Smarling, Nobody Knows an Alien 3 Director's Cut. Please go see it. They cut out so much of that film. Like, they literally cut so much. The original film doesn't make as much. Some of the plot points don't work because they cut out massive scenes. It's really good in comparison. It's beautiful, beautiful location stuff that's just really good. I saw Nemesis, I don't think with any expectations. So then to be disappointed with general expectations was kind of disappointing. I remember at the end being like, huh. Literally, I remember walking out the cinema with Dad in Milton Keynes because it didn't have a very long cinema run. Being like, so what do you think? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, uh-huh. Like, it wasn't as good as we hoped and wasn't as good as the trailer. Like what do you say? It's like, saw it in the cinema though.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, I can't think of any other specific instances. I know there's a lot of time when I go on my captain's log or whatever saying, I really expected a lot of this and I was disappointed or whatever. But I can't think of any right offhand. But
I don't know why I know this is the topic. Well, I guess we talk about the topic for a long time, to be fair.
yeah.
What about Black Panther? Was that as good as you... Did you get hyped up?
That was way better than I anticipated.
Okay.
I did not expect to be impressed with that movie at all. Went in and it just blew me away. It's one of my favorites from them. So
I heard it was the best thing ever. I saw it and it was pretty good. Like, it was good, but it's pretty good. It's not the best one.
yeah, see, I went in under anticipating. You went in over.
Yeah. It's like Civil War is Captain America 2 is like a billion times better. That one is a perfectly crafted film. Is Captain America 2. Black Panther's but just the rhinos. I mean, there's certain things in that film which like that doesn't work. And obviously the VFX fight at the end is awful.
Well, I'd much rather watch Black Panther than Captain America 2.
Really?
Fuck yeah.
I love that film. It's so intriguing and
it's got boring spots, man. Black Panther just
does it though?
Yes,
when?
It does.
When?
The whole middle part.
That's a lot of the middle. That's a lot of the film. Really? Well, that's it.
It's a lot of it is just not.
Oh.
I don't know.
No, I would say
I got a super chat though.
Oh, okay.
200 rubles.
Thank you.
Star Trek 2009 had prepared me for The Force Awakens. Having low expectations didn't help though.
Yeah.
Well,
it's sad though that you appreciate films after a worse one comes out. Like I like Force Awakens more because of how crap Last Jedi was. Like, at least they try to make a Star Wars film.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just going through like films and Logan. I enjoyed Logan as a film, but not as an X-Men film because I didn't want to see that character like that. But I appreciate all the cinematography.
Yeah.
Although the graphic violence was excellent. Like that the they
Yeah.
pitched perfect that. Like, some really nice like meaty kill moments. But it's
Did
not.
did you, do you think Professor X kind of got screwed in that movie as far
Oh, I
as even
don't
rating
know.
goes?
I was
Because I
just.
hated the way he died, and spoilers. Um,
Oh,
it's just. Ugh.
I was thinking yes, but I remember he had quite a lot in the car and in the hotel room, which was really like characterful. So the start, yes, but when he got lucid, I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, his death was very unnecessary and quick and random, sweet and sad, but you
That's how
know,
death is, though. Quick, random. It just happens.
yeah, no,
Mm,
I don't know. See, I'm just scrolling through older films. Uh, what about Deadpool? Which Deadpool do you prefer?
first one,
Why?
because it was probably because it was unexpected and it was just
That's right.
fantastically funny. Second one, I expected too much out of it, I think,
Yeah, yeah, I think you're
and
right.
it kind of cool in a way because we know Ken, and looking at the props that he had done and stuff in the film was
Yeah.
cool, but it didn't hit that bar for me that I was anticipating it would. It wasn't a bad movie by any means. As far as sequels go and stuff, it was actually really fantastic.
Mm.
But it just wasn't. And again, your worst enemy is your expectations, I
Yeah.
guess, because I did expect more from it because the first one was just. I thoroughly enjoyed the first one the first time I watched it. I was just so like. This one I kept expecting something a little bit more, I think, and it just didn't work. It just
Which is
didn't hit home for me.
which is ironic because I walked away from Deadpool 2 thinking, wow, they gave us more of everything because the budget is so much higher. They have so many more sets, so many
Yeah.
more set pieces. Everything is more, and those bits are all good. But we really enjoyed the comedy and the uniqueness of Deadpool himself, and so the first one was so pitch perfect script because it was refined over like 7 years. Deadpool 2 is the same amount of good but spread out over a lot more stuff, which
Yeah.
just lessens it a bit. Although,
Well,
yeah.
it kind of goes back to our Star Trek movie talk
Sorry, what?
because
Star Trek? What's Star Trek?
all right. Star Trek: The Motion Picture had a huge budget. It
Yes.
underperformed, so it had toys made based on it. Whatever
Yep.
they thought, okay, it's going to be popular. They're not. Star Trek 2, lower budget, blew
Yeah.
expectations out of the water,
Hmm.
but they didn't want to invest any money in toys for Star Trek 2 because
Why
the
would you?
sales for the
Yeah.
sales for the first ones didn't go through. So then Star Trek 3, again, kind of under
Underappreciated.
yeah, exactly.
Undervalued. And that
A
had
little
a
bit.
lot of toy potential.
And they did release toys for Star Trek 3. There was the Klingon commander and his dog and a few other ones. This is one of them. See? That's from Star Trek 3.
Oh, cool.
Even though he never wore the uniform in Star Trek 3.
Shh.
But so it underperformed. So they again lowered the budget for the next one because they had upped the budget for Star Trek 3 because Star Trek 2 did so good.
Yes. Although not anything close to Star Trek 1, though.
Right.
Yes.
But then, since it underperformed, Star Trek 4, the budget got cut. It seems like the movies with the least amount of budget,
Mhm.
least to work with, are the ones that really pull the best out of everything and really come together. Because that was the trend in Star Trek the whole time. Let's make toys on this. Oh, we're not going to make toys on the good movie because the last one's underperformed. But now there's a new shit movie. Let's make toys on those. Oh, jeez. But yeah, it seems like when you have constrictions and you don't have unlimited budget or unlimited time to make something, when you have that timeline, like we were just talking to Thomas Maroney about ships for Star Trek Online, when you've got that time crunch, you have to have an end date. You can't just keep refining it and you need to get it done by a certain time or a certain budget, and it's just like that's where it works. To just be unrestricted doesn't work.
Well, it's not just that. If you've got only so much money, you can't blow it on things that might or might not work. You've got to invest very, very carefully because you can easily burn through it. If you've got a mountain of cash, you can do this, and this. And so the scope the scope is very small comparatively.
You don't think creatively when you have an unlimited budget, you can just CGI that. You don't have to think, oh, we can't afford a CGI budget, so we need to find a different way to do it. And it usually makes it better to. Anyway,
No,
necessity is a mother invention.
Well, so, okay, Avatar and
Yes.
Titanic made pretty much on unlimited budgets for their time,
Yeah.
and they both work exceptionally well in the respect they're trying to go for. Very, very well.
James Cameron is a genius.
Yeah. Say what you want about both films. They're both successes in every definition, I think, is fair, even if they're not the best films. But they're well scripted, well acted, great cast, great direction, great edited. They know what they're trying to be, and they're trying to be it very well. So that's where budget can be great. And Avengers and Infinity War, they have as much money as they wanted. They knew, we'll give you anything, you know what I mean? If they said, Kevin Feige, we need 10 more million, like, yeah. Do you want to check? My personal account. But the quality of content's there as well. So it very much depends. Star Trek benefits from the characters. Having Spock punch Khan is different to having anything else. And there was this wonderful piece of interview that Nimoy did that I've been trying to mention for a couple of videos now that we've recorded, which has been, I know we're about running out of time, already. And it's Leonard Nimoy I think in the 60s actually, to a Vulcan neck pinch. And he says to the lady, the story about how I was meant to be punching him, and he went to Gene and said, Gene, I don't think this character would do that. And at the end of that, he says, violence is the least of the options. We're running down to violence. You're at, this is not what we should be doing. This is not the civilized thing. That should be the last thing, if anything. And then it cuts to, the Discovery people punching and Spock doing the whole, Vulcan neck pinch to get out of prison. And then it cuts to Leonard Nimoy saying, and violence was never an option for my character, and it cuts to him being an action hero. So there's the least competent way of storytelling, and so you cut to Spock punching Khan, and it's like, he understood. Let's think of a clever, creative way of doing something that's clever and creative and interesting, and not just punchy, fighty.
Yeah. Ryan Gustafson puts in $6.99 Canadian.
No, thank you.
How long do you think it took that guy at Plexicorp to invent transparent aluminum? Well, actually, there's a theory going around that he died a week later in a car accident, and that's why they didn't actually change history. The original person that designed it still got the credit. Nice. But I would say maybe 10, 15 years if he did do it. Because either way, I think it would have been fine and not really changed too many things. But
that's funny.
Yeah.
Or it's Final Destination, and fate finds a way to kill him.
Yeah, exactly. The timeline will correct itself.
Exactly. That's funny.
But anyway, guys.
Yes.
For 2 hours, we kind of went off track there a little bit. People were commenting like, "What are they going to do about Star Trek?"
Oh, were they? Oh.
Well, yeah, and Jeff's like, "Trust me, letting them go off on rants is sometimes the best part of these things. So they'll get back to it eventually." So we're back now, but we have to go now. So
I think it was interesting. And hey, your super chats controlled where we went for the first 77.7%. So I think we're all good.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining us as always. I don't know what tomorrow's topic's going to be because we kind of talked about the worst of Star Trek movies because that's what is going to be the topic tomorrow. But we'll come up with something good.
We always do.
Try.
Oh yeah, I have to stop it, don't I? So yeah, guys, who was our super chat? I think we're just gonna.
Ryan Gustafson.
Thank you, Ryan. What a pal, what a man. And we'll see you next time tomorrow. Same time, same Trekyards place for another great discussion with you amazing people.
Oh, 100 rubles comes in. Guess what? Aluminum oxynitrate really exists. It's a technically a thing. Oh my god. It is a thing. It is now, yes.
So a science note to end on. Beautiful. Until next time, guys, I'm Quanah Cookins.
And I'm Captain Foley.
I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.